Hello and welcome to the Kashish 2020 virtual panel discussion. This is the first one of a series of panel discussion. Kashish 2020 virtual will take place July 22nd to 30th on an online platform. Registrations are open. You can go to our website and register. We have 157 films from 42 countries. So what are you waiting for? If you're not registered yet, please do that very soon. And we have this fantastic panel together, and I'm not going to introduce them because I'm going to leave that to this beautiful moderator, Rohini Ramanathan from RJ Nasha. Who doesn't know Rohini? She has been an ally of the community. She has been hosting Kashish openings and closings every year, but this time it's going to be virtual. The opening night is on July 22nd, so we're going to have Rohini hosting that too. So Rohini, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sridhar, for that introduction. Yes, Kashish is virtual this year, and I'd like to welcome everybody to one of the first things that we're doing. Of course, I have a very formidable panel brought to you by COVID-19. On the day that we're recording, it's actually a very rainy day in Mumbai, and to get these heavyweights to come together at the Liberty Cinema might have been a very, very tall ask. Having said that, of course, I'd like to thank each and every one of you on this panel. I'm going to go in reverse alphabetical order, and I hope I get that correct. Starting with Zoya Akhtar, director. Thank you so much for joining us, Zoya. It really means a lot to us. We've got Vijay Subramaniam, director and content head at Amazon Prime. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Rohini. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Tonali Bose, filmmaker. Thank you so much for joining us today. Rohan Kanavare, filmmaker, and I hope you watched his film Oo for Usha. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for giving me this chance to be on this panel.
We've got Hitesh Kevalia. Shubh Mangal, zyada savdhan inhone kaha. Thank you so much, Hitesh, for joining us, making the time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And as Umang, of course, her character has been much loved across 2 seasons of For More Shots, Please. I've got Gurbani Judge, also known as Bani J. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, keeping that reverse alphabetical order on. I'm going to start with you, Zoya. Thank you so much for giving us a character in Karan recently with Made in Heaven. It was very refreshing to see a mainstream series, a web series, where the main character, was gay, but at the same time, without him being obviously gay, because that's the sort of trap we've seen a lot of narratives fall into. Could you tell us the origin of that and why you chose to give his character this sort of graph or arc or behavior or mannerisms, please?
It started off with wanting to do a show in the wedding space. It's like a melting pot. You have different generations, you have different cultures, you have different communities that come together. So when me and Rima started to create the characters, we thought the wedding planners, it would be interesting if both of them are really, for some reason, not for a very heteronormative union, so it was interesting to have one woman who was in a very tricky marriage and the other one was gay. In terms of Karan's behavior, I find that stereotypical depiction of homosexuality or of gay men, it's offensive to me, frankly, and it's boring and it's done to death, and I don't see any humor in being gay. It's not funny to be gay. Gay men are funny. They can be funny, but that's a plus point. I don't find the fact that they're gay funny, and we never wrote it like that. We never meant to write it like that. We have tons of people in our lives that are not like that. When Arjun Mathur came on in his screen test, when we tested people and the way he played it, everything was just correct, so yeah.
Now, that's a great choice. Thank you so much for making that choice. I want to tell you that this panel has a bit of a coup going on because your show Made in Heaven as well as For More Shots, Please, both are on the same platform that Vijay represents. Vijay, so I'm going to start off by saying, wow, LGBTQIA friendly platform Amazon is...
Well, I think for us, inclusion and diversity are hallmarks of the way we tell our stories, and due credit to the leadership across the world, not just in India. If you remember, Transparent from a couple of years ago, was the first example of us making sure that representation was diverse and it was inclusive, and to Zoya's point, completely authentic. And that places a great deal of responsibility on us to make sure that, we're not doing things for the sake of checking a box. We're also equally lucky to have creators like her who place their faith and stories with us. And then of course folks like Bani who play these roles, and literally embrace these characters. I've got to admit, these are the real forces of nature. Personally, I've never understood the question too well, because I've never understood why I have to go out there and tell people I have friends and I have gay friends. I just have friends.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's how people live their lives, and that's exactly what we strive to do in our stories.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that, Vijay. Skipping the queue and coming to you, Bani. First of all, loads of fans, okay, loads of fans. When they came to you with this character, there were two things to this. Is A, I was going to see Bani act, number one. And secondly, of course, play a queer character. So two reasons why this was very important to us as viewers. Tell me what was important for you to do with Umang.
So I was actually the first one to be cast for the show as well. So it was like, I think maybe 3 weeks later that Rangata sitting with me when we were doing a reading actually asked me like, can you act? I was like, well, we're going to find out, right? I was so happy she asked me though, because I have asked myself this question when I was much younger, when I was obviously in the industry, especially when it's a character like this and it's a story like this and you're telling it in India. You have to take into consideration so many things. So obviously I have to say hats off to Amazon for, that saying that obviously it's due credit is given to the actors and to the makers, but also to the platforms that we are given to show that work, because these are the platforms that have the reach where these stories can be heard and seen. I think that's so important. And I didn't look at Umang as just being a bisexual character. I just played it as me, as a girl who's in love, and I just happen to be like smitten with somebody who's like way older than me, happens to be female, happens to be famous, Samara. I felt very ready for it when it came to me. It just felt, because it was the first thing I did after, I think maybe about a year and a half. I took a break after Bigg Boss, because obviously it's Bigg Boss. So I had to regain my sanity, and then I was very happy to do this because I was like, I just want to act. So yeah.
Thanks, Bani, for that. Shonali, I'm curious to know that, when we all watch Margarita with a Straw, do you go back to the time when this film released and you wish that there were OTT platforms back then?
Well, the thing is, it did go on to Netflix as soon as the theatrical run ended, and it's still on Netflix. I remember Zoya saying this phrase that I can never forget when she read the script. She said, "Babe, how will you get the bums in the seats?" And I said, "What rubbish, Zoya?" But she was right. So this is the huge, big challenge that, number one, my characters are gay. Number two, they're disabled. So you're overcoming two things that people just in a mainstream audience to go put their bums in the seats and buy that ticket. Absolutely, you were right, Zoya. It's a huge hurdle. Yes, OTT is wonderful for this very reason, that you don't have this whole terror and restriction of what is the box office going to be. When I wrote the script first, the characters were not gay. Laila wasn't gay and Khanum did not exist. 10 drafts into it, I suddenly decided, I'm queer myself, I decided that that character needed to be bisexual, with whether you're gay or whether you're disabled. Whenever you're not quote unquote mainstream, right? The whole otherization that takes place. And I wanted to draw this parallel between the queerness and the disability. And then I became passionate about that. So Viacom 18 at that point said, are you kidding me? Like, first this character disabled and now you're going to make her queer as well. So they withdrew half the money. And at that point, I had to make this crucial decision. The film may not get made, right? At that point, I didn't know how would I find 50% of the money. But I couldn't backtrack at that point, We were still illegal in this country to be gay. I just could not backtrack. Once I made that commitment and decision for Laila being bi, I couldn't change it. My heart and my politics and my conscience were in it. And somehow we found the money and finished the film.
Even now, I just go back to, this is the first time I'm meeting you. I just want to say thank you for making that film. Speaking of bums in seats, someone who actually dared to dream a big dream, he also made Amitabh Bachchan a queer icon, which I think is one of the biggest things that Hitesh Kewalya has done. I loved it. Ye karna bahut zaruri hai, because there are people we think we can't touch, But when you look at it from the lens of a person who doesn't fit into this sort of norm, and that's constantly the narrative being fed to us, that's, I think, one of the biggest successes of Shubh Mangal Zyada Savdhan. I'd love to know from you, Hitesh, what prompted you to make this film after you had made Shubh Mangal Savdhan?
After Shubh Mangal Savdhan, we got a bit of a confidence. We talked about erectile dysfunction, which was not easy. We didn't know whether the family audience will take to it or how will they react to it. But once the film came out and people reacted to it very positively, I also felt that there is a void in this space, that nobody is talking about sexuality, and if done in the right manner, the audience is ready to buy a ticket and see it in the cinemas. And also after the 2013 judgment, which repealed the Delhi High Court earlier judgment,
Yes.
conversations had already started in the newspaper articles, through more friends coming out. This was the right time to talk about it. I was still writing when when that act was repealed, and that really gave me the confidence that now it is the right time. It happened. We wanted it to be commercial because a commercial film reaches to a large audience. I wanted the film to reach out to as many people as it's possible.
Absolutely, because I remember when I was interviewing Ayushmann at the radio, he said, "Yehi is film ka waqt hai." And we'll talk about, just in terms of what defines success. What do you think is success, Rohan, for someone who's a young filmmaker, who's kind of made a couple of films, who's still, telling queer stories? What is success for you?
So success for me is right now that some of the actors from Marathi film industry, they want to work in my film. They ask me if you're writing anything. For Usha, Devdutt Patnaik came on board to fund the film. So people like him, when they want to support my work, I think that's success. All the professionals wanted to work on this script. Audience loving the films. I mean, with Usha, I mean, first film, even though it's a short film, it got released in theater. That was a big thing for me. On the second day when I went there was a new crowd, and I saw audience reacting to the film and clapping at that one moment of Usha's life, and that's when I felt happy. So I think that's success. I mean, yeah.
I think at this point, I do want to talk about both of you, Rohan and Hitesh, because, I think it's important to base these narratives, the queer narratives, in the heartlands. In many ways, sometimes there's a lot of misconception saying, "Acha, ye sab sirf shehron mein hota hai, shehron ke logon ke saath hota hai." And I think that's why Hitesh and Rohan, both of you, I want to just quickly give you guys a shout out for, setting Usha as well as Shubh Mangal Zyada Savdhan in the places or in the milieux that you guys have set it. So, I remember when Made in Heaven released, we had an opportunity to talk at the premiere. And at that time, we were very excited about this because I'd watched it and I knew it was fantastic. What happened with Made in Heaven kind of set the stone for today, where we're looking at more and more content releasing on OTT platforms. What is success in that zone for you?
Okay, I'll just give you one thing. I'm in Goa. I'm on a beach. I'm in La Plage having my lunch. And suddenly this guy comes up to me and says, this is a note for you. And I open it and it's written, it's like, "Hi, I'm on a holiday with my family. I do not wish to disturb you because I know you are holidaying. I am 16 years old. I have seen your show and I'm going to come out. Thank you very much for making this. The next time I see you, this won't be signed anonymous." I couldn't stop. I wanted to start crying. It's like if you can shift one thing, if you can make someone feel stronger. That's the thing about the whole queer experience. It's there. It's everywhere. It's in the cities. It's in the heartlands. It's everywhere. But there is no mainstream representation. There is no representation in the pop culture that you can look up to, that you can be like, dude, okay, that's me. And I fit that. I'm not the butt of jokes. I'm not something to hide. I'm not a secret. I'm not a, so that was important. The kind of feedback we got, I mean, we didn't expect it.
Which
Yeah.
at this point, I think you should really spill some secrets. Yeah. How do you know that a show is doing well?
The simplest measure of a show's success, in addition to all the anecdotes that come to you directly, because that's the magic of the digital medium. People will give you comments, feedback, love, hate, everything to you instantly. The simplest truth for any creator of a successful show is a second season, and 4 more shots, please, is right there within a year of its first season. A couple of things that are important for us. How is it influencing customer choice? Everything we create on the service, we attach the greatest responsibility to customer tastes and preferences, and we make sure that we are trying to fulfill them in a very responsible and meaningful way. Shows like this, are also extremely entertaining. I think it's super important to not lose sight of that, because if you want to shift social narratives using the medium of entertainment, I think it's important to be entertaining as well. And two, it's really important to be honest. So in the case of Made in Heaven, a whole bunch of people came in because it's a lovely wedding drama. But the conversation then went on to, hey, these are regular people. So what if their sexual identity is not the same as mine? Made in Heaven was probably one of the most watched shows worldwide as well for us. The Great Indian Wedding hook.
Is a hook.
Yeah, is a lovely hook, I guess. 4 More Shots, Please, season 2 was featured in the New York Times. You know, done well, done authentically, there's no reason why a local story cannot travel. And that's another interesting yardstick of, you know, how you want to put a measure of success to it. Because, you know, there are weak signals that customers are sending in terms of their evolving taste. It's important for us to, pick those up, and it's equally important for us to feed that back to the creators and give them the confidence and the freedom to go and tell the stories in as authentic a way as you can. Perhaps, you know, this is not a easy choice for somebody to make, watching it, you know, with 20 other people. But the idea is, over time, we want that to become mainstream. We want people to be able to enjoy it without having to feel guilty about it.
Asking an actor to tell me the reaction from the community is the sort of done thing to do, Mani. But I want to ask you outside of the community, because that is also very important. In season 2, what I loved about it is that this character was the defining sort of arc of the entire season, because what happens to Umang and Samara, literally, you know, baki sab uske around ho raha hai, and it's the two of you who are about to get married. Was that exciting, and what was the sort of feedback that came in from not just the queer community, as I said?
I don't have that many straight friends then to compare and tell you. That's the problem. I'll just talk about my sister because she's the straightest person I know. So my sister didn't expect that, and she was very blown away by obviously the whole show, and she loves a big fancy Indian wedding, but she's super into Bollywood and all of that. So she was just like really like blown away by the whole thing. I think Umang looked at the wedding like I would look at the wedding, and I just tried to like really, really merge them both, which is why I think one of the most asked questions I get is, what are the differences between Umang and Bani J, right? Because everybody thinks it's just me and they think I'm not acting, but there are so many vast differences in our personalities. I had to have my motive very clear as Umang as to why I was stepping away from the wedding, because to me, I felt as though throughout the entire season, Umang was not reacting enough to the fact that she was just being very dominated by everything that Samara wanted to do. When it does come to the moment of me having to actually sit there and realize while I'm going to recite my vows to her about what the definition of love is and how it's so overused and all of that stuff, and then basically bring it home and say like, I've grown up watching this happen in my own family, in my own house. Because I speak so closely to our producers and to the writers, they know what I have been through in my personal life, and they bring that into the script. Like they've done this with me so many times, only with my character, nobody else's character they do this, which is, I don't know if it's good or if it's bad or what. Look at the way they're just laughing, but anyway, it's okay. But I appreciate it because I think it brings a next level of authenticity for me to do it. And I was just happy that most people understood that the whole purpose of that scene was mainly to explain to everybody that it's not just about two lesbians getting married and all of that. It is about the fact that at the end of the day, sometimes love is not enough. And what the definition of love is and what it means to Umang is way more than just these feelings that she has. It has to actually equal balance and respect and equality and all of that with Samara, who is obviously in a very different dimension than Umang.
There was a question in my head when I saw that finale, and I said to myself, I really hope that these two women get married on this damn show.
And I knew that everybody, you know, so many people wanted that.
For India, this is not about Umang Samara. For the rest of us, I was like,
yeah, I know.
When it didn't happen, the good thing is it didn't feel like a cop-out. Because
yeah, that's what I was also very afraid of when I spoke to Rangata about this as well. I said, listen, man, I don't want people to think that we shied away from actually tying the knot between two women on this platform. Like, I want it to happen then, but it wasn't right for Umang. Like, the purpose of that story was not just to portray. It was, okay, it's like, we can have the dream. We can have it. We're here. We can do it. But is it right for me? Am I doing it just because I can get married, or am I doing it because I'm actually in love with this person and it's a great relationship?
Shirali, we spoke to you before. How does your own sexuality inform your choices or your projects or the stories that you choose to tell? This will be really nice if you can give us a peek into that process.
For me, actually, all the 3 films I've made, Amu, Margarita with a Straw and The Sky is Pink, have been very deeply personal films. So it's not just my sexuality, it's been my life experience that have been fully out there on cellulite. And I feel in Margarita, I was the most naked. That also comes into, what is the gaze of the camera, the lovemaking scene between the women. That's so important. It was directly my own experience as a 19-year-old girl in Miranda House College at the time when it was, that's like 1985, when it was just terrifying to be gay, to be in a women's hostel, the kind of prejudice that you face around you. And yet I felt so authentic about my own feelings. Like just, that's what I wanted to do with Kalki's character, with Laila, where she had no clue that she was gay. And this is exactly what happened to me. I didn't even know what is gay. And this person who I fell in love with, she was from Berkeley, and she had all the politics and baggage of it, and I didn't. And I just went with my feelings and my body. I didn't question my own self. I just feared how society will react, but I didn't question what I'm feeling. And I wanted actually Laila to just respond in that way, because she didn't even understand what it is. And it's just later down the line when she's trying to figure out her own self that, she's actually not sure. What is she? Like maybe she's bisexual, and that's why she, has that temptation with a man, and she goes for it. I borrowed heavily. Maybe that's a cheat. That's the easy way to write something really strong, is when you go deep into your own personal life and draw from it. Maybe that's why in Margarita, I really felt very personally connected in the authenticity of that female love that I portrayed.
Thank you for that. Hitesh, I think we were talking about the women who did not get married, to the men who, got married or could get married. Yeah, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm still, factionizing even more. Maybe I'm still thinking as a woman, even in this space of a queer narrative, just look at how women are not coming together and men for some reason again have it easier. Let's talk about the ending of Shubh Mangal Zyada Savdhan. The idea that this could be a happy ending. Was a happy ending important to you because it was a mainstream release?
Not because of that, but a happy ending was important because whatever narratives that I had seen, even in some Western films and all, they were either ending in a very tragic kind of a scenario, or it was like a tale of an unrequited love, that they can't come together. I wanted this film to be a celebration, a victory, a celebration of just who you are. We all are so unique. I wanted to celebrate that more than anything else. So that's why a happy ending was important for me.
Have there been actors who you've gone to and they've said no, they did not want to play a character because the character is queer?
I know Arjun. He was in my first film. He played a supporting part in my first film. And I know him personally. I put him on tape and I was sure, like me and Nitya were absolutely bangingly sure we wanted him. And I remember we were dealing with Amazon and Aparna at that point. She was like, are you sure that you want to go with new people? And I was like, I'm going to put the tests on and I'm going to come to your office and you watch. And to that platform's credit, they were like, go with it. They saw what we saw. And they didn't question it, and they just gave us the cashola. So we lucked out. We wanted Arjun because he brought a dignity to it. He wasn't also going to be awkward and shy to shoot the sex, because we knew clearly that we didn't want to be gingerly about the sex. Like we didn't want to soft focus it. In that sense, and we needed somebody who's completely secure in his sexuality and in his skin to be able to do that. There was one sequence where Arjun, the character of Karan, brings home a boy and they hook up, and that actor couldn't make it, and they were like, should we shift the thing? And I was like, actually, we'll just ask the DP to do it. And the DP is Jay Oza, and he's a super cute looking guy and a very good friend of Arjun's. And I was like, will you do it? You have to take your t-shirt off. And he runs the grips and the lighting boys. Okay, it's a very male, macho space, okay? And he's the leader of the pack. And he was like, yeah, I'll totally do it. And they were all, and he was like, guys, nobody laughs, okay? And it just set the tone. This was in the first week. So you had the DP who came in there, did it totally seriously. And the minute we cut, everyone, all the light boys, everyone, all clapping. You just have to create a space for it. But we got very lucky with actors. One thing is making fun, but the other thing is also being blind to it. You know, you can't just be like, oh, I'm playing a character and it doesn't matter, I'm gay, I'm just going to play it like I'm in love. No, it matters that you're gay. It matters because the history, the growing up, the childhood, the struggles are completely different.
This casting thing actually, which took me so by surprise. For Khanum, Khanum's character was offered to various well-known people, both in India and Pakistan. All these people said off the record, we love Khanum's character. As an actor, we would love to do it, but we just cannot just be an out-and-out lesbian the way Khanum is. Like, maybe we could have considered Laila. We just cannot consider being Khanum because we feel that we would just get, tainted by that. And it actually broke my heart.
Rohan, at this point, I want to come to you and ask you, as a queer filmmaker, do you think that you get adequate opportunities? And does your queerness, how does it lend to, or sometimes, not lend to your filmmaking abilities?
I don't think so that I get more opportunities because I'm queer. Devdutt always told me, when you write a happy ending, only then I'm going to fund your film. I don't write films with, knowing how this will end. With Usha, it was a kind of a happy ending. So I knew that he will like it. And that's what happened. But, the script previous to this, he never produced. So, and that time I really had to struggle to get funds, and because of that reason sometimes I made films with very less money and I just could rent a camera and the mic, that's it, no lights, nothing. The thing is, I don't only want to make queer films. It's like, whatever the idea that comes to me, and I'm excited about it, I just want to make that film.
The format of short films, this is a question for Vijay, and I speak on behalf of filmmakers like Rohan who are obviously dealing with a shorter format. Is there a future? Is there a space, specifically for the short film format? When it comes to restraints of, newness, or I'm a new filmmaker. I don't have that much of a budget. I don't have that much of a, a star cast.
You spoke of one side, which is really the creator. I think equally important is the audience or the customer, right? And it's what journey they're on in terms of their own understanding and of entertainment and their evolving preferences, right? For short films in India to work, I think at least from where we are, it's some distance away. As much as we may all be consuming, streaming services, for a while, and we're very familiar with it, it's still a very new habit to most customers in India. The things that they come there for are, besides the convenience and all of that, is on the one hand the familiarity of great cinema. So to be able to have a Shubh Mangal or a Gully Boy is very important. And then the other thing that they come for is something that which we qualify as an unmet need, which is cinematic, high quality, long form fiction series. And you've seen the success of whether it's Made in Heaven or Four More Shots Please or Patal Lok. It's just that when it's done well and it's really compelling and riveting and authentic, people, they're hungry for it. So similarly, I think somewhere in this evolution, frankly, I never put labels of short, long, big, small, right? I like to think of it as, attention span related entertainment. All of us, depending on the mood, are willing to commit more time or less time to feel entertained. And I think right now, the customers are on that dimension of committing to far greater amounts of time, because a lot of it is new and entertaining. As we go along that continuum, I'm pretty sure, though I don't know when, and if it finds the audience, and automatically you'll find that everybody is dipping into it and doing a lot of work there as well. In this case, customers are their own programmers. All we do is enable the content and make it discoverable. And after that, you are programming what you choose to watch, when, how, where, and to what extent. None of us have any influence on that. So you need to have enough people wanting to discover this kind of content for it to show up.
Absolutely. Which brings me to Bani. How sustainable is Indian queer content? And I think we'll start with you on this one.
It's hard for me to speak from what kind of content I watch and would like to watch and speak for like the masses of India, dude. But what I do know is that from seeing how well these shows have done and how well received the characters, the story, it just goes to show, dude, people really want to know. They relate to this kind of content. They relate to these kind of stories. They want more characters like this. And I don't think anyone would say no, like, unless, of course, I mean, there are so many aunties and uncles in my tower, yeah, and in lockdown, kitne auntie uncle whom I've met them in the lifts, and they're like, "Arey, 4 more shots, abhi dekha aapka, bahut maza aaya." And I was like, "Thanks, uncle." Like in Nature's Basket, when I go to these old aunties who are walking, and I feel so bad for them. Like, why? Where are their grandchildren? First of all, why aren't they grocery shopping for them? But yeah, they stopped me and said, "Hey, you are that girl?" I said, "Yes." I'm not going to say no. I'm like, "Yes, that's me. You found me." And they're like, "Which one are you?" I'm like, "I am the sporty one." And they're like, "Ah, okay, Umang." I said, "Yeah, what's up?" And I took a picture with these 60-year-old ladies and I sent it to Rangata. I said, "Look at this, dude." So it was pretty awesome. And like Zoe also just said right now about people, this kid who came up to her and said that, you know, he wanted to come out to his parents and stuff like that. My inbox is filled. My DMs are filled to the max of people coming out to me on a daily basis. Like, matlab, there are so many rainbows on my Instagram. It's ridiculous. Like, there are no clouds. There is only rainbows. That's sunshine. That's all I get. And I'm like, this is great. Yeah. And I mean, it's pretty awesome, man. It's pretty awesome. Like, yeah. So 100% yes from my side.
I would say definitely sustainable for the actor in Gurbani Judge, and that would be, of course, an understatement. We'd like more shots, please. So thank you so much, you know, for that. It's so hopeful. It's really great. Hitesh, where do you see this question? Because this is my sort of like final question to everybody.
I think it definitely is. More than the making of the film, when we were marketing the film, when the trailer came out, we never shied away from hiding the fact that this film is about two men who love each other. We never shied away from showing a kiss even in the trailer. And then people coming and buying a ticket and seeing the film and enjoying is a marker of the fact that people are open to do this. When everyone starts believing in something, when everyone starts talking about it, and people come to watch it also, I think it's very sustainable. There was this one boy who messaged me that he went with his parents to see the film and he was very scared and he was nervous and he was looking at their reactions all through the film. And in the end, towards the climax, the parents had tears in their eyes, and that's when he came out to them. I think there is no other way but to evolve.
No, thank you, because I think it's a very important film in the history of queer narratives in Indian cinema. Shubh Mangal Zyada Savdhan will always be that film that was made with A-list actors, you know, promoted as an A-list film, with one of the most successful, you know, sort of actors of our time at the box office. And that's why, to me, it'll always be important. And that's why, to me, having you on this panel today means so much, Hitesh. Thank you for doing what you've done with this film for everybody. Shonali, let's bring the question to you.
I think 1000% it's sustainable. I think there's already such a huge growth just between Margarita with a Straw and Shubh Mangal Zyada Savdhan, which I absolutely loved, Hitesh. And it was unbelievable to me that a mainstream film running in theaters was so bold and terrific, both with the gay men unabashedly being gay and they're, you know, making out with each other. Like it was terrific. So you just see that advance just between 2015 when Margarita came out and, you know, 19, huge in these 4 years. I myself, my next mainstream film, a theatrical film, producer's response, one of the characters who's queer, completely at ease with it. Like, I just see a huge difference between my struggle to make Margarita and today in 2020. And I'm not talking OTT, I'm saying theatrical, because OTT, they're much more liberal and they're terrific. I love OTT. I'm just saying, when a film has major stars and it's theatrical, you face that problem that will stars say yes and will producers have the courage to back that? And the response is totally different in these 4 years. I think it's a very exciting time. I also think it's important because all of us have said the same thing. I had the exact experience that so many hundreds of people wrote to me, and that was my biggest success, hundreds, saying that we took our families to watch Margarita, and then we went home and came out to them. And that is what every filmmaker and actor has said this on this panel. And that is our responsibility, that Indian cinema is patriarchal, misogynistic, and has been homophobic. And if as filmmakers and visionaries, we don't break that, then, you know, what's the point of being in filmmaking? So those are my last words, and more power to everyone here.
Oh my God, that was like a shot of coffee, Shonali, everybody, Shonali for president. Zoya, are you also going to tell us that it's possible?
I feel this is just a start. I think we are going to be known. We're going to bookmark how it started. We were the first wave. I think it's going to really come in now, and then we can talk about, can this be sustained? I think the narratives are it's going to break, because what's happening is, I mean, on one hand, there's a law that's changed.
Yes.
That's changed the whole vibe. So means more people are going to come out. Firstly, they themselves are going to come out. B, the tone has changed. You have OTT platforms that's given a level playing field to different stories, to different filmmakers, to different characters. So you have all these things coming together. This generation that's grown up, okay, on apps, their view of sex and sexuality is completely different. So when you have storytellers like that are going to come in, it's going to just change the scape so much. So I think we are going to be that very few people that did something and they'll remember us. I think it's just they're going to storm the castle, which I'm really excited about. I think it's going to be huge.
All right, Rohan, what do you have to say to this sort of very hopeful future that I think you'd be most excited about, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's changing, and people want to see stories about LGBT community. Because when I made Sundar in 2015 about a cross-dresser, when some of the straight guys, heterosexual guys watched that film, they came to me and they said, I feel so sorry and I'm so angry about, with myself, because we had someone like that in our locality, and we used to really tease him a lot. But now after watching this film, I'm realizing how bad I was behaving. So people are understanding those issues with these films, and they want to. Even with Usha, when I made Usha, the whole village came to watch the film when we had the first screening, and during the shoot we didn't tell them what the film is exactly about, but then they had to watch the film. I was like, we'll see their reaction now. But the thing was, the Sarpanch of the village, after watching the film, he said, please bring this film to the village. We want the whole village to watch this film. And if you make films, something like that again in a village, please feel free to come to our village and shoot the film. So, when villagers are accepting these stories, I think city people will surely understood, and people just want to watch good films.
And I think that's important to talk to the future, really. And that's why I think, Rohan, you would be the right point for us to, tell everybody, thank you so much for watching this panel, because it's really been one of the most hopeful panel discussions that we've had. And once again, I want to thank each and every one of you for being these trailblazers, for doing the parts that you've done, for making the films that you have, for putting these films out there to your audiences in each and every way that you have, because thank you for being, part of this movement. And more importantly, thank you for coming on today and for being able to talk to us and give us or leave us with this hope. It means so much, Team Kashish, each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Kashish has been programming for the last 10 years. We get almost 60 Indian films every year, short films, documentaries, independent films, but most of them do not see the big screen or reach per se. So I hope that further down, we're able to bring these short films and documentaries and the independent films out there to reach across. So Kashish did its first ever theatrical release of short films in association with PVR. So that's how Rohan's film was seen in theaters, but it was a small release. We just hope that we can tie up with either Amazon or PVR to spread the love and messaging which these short films also bring. So thank you, Rohini, and thank you all the panelists. So please join Kashish.